In this video, I'm going to show you how to raise your base level vibration for beginners. This is going to be specifically directed at people that are just now getting into understanding the levels of consciousness and how to change your vibration. And I believe that this video can be the seed that really changes your life in a powerful way. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'm going to be doing and showing you how to raise your base level vibration, and it's going to be geared at people just getting into this information. Now, maybe you've seen one of my YouTube videos before where I share this chart of consciousness right here. And this chart of consciousness, you'll see at the bottom, you have emotions like shame, fear, guilt, anger. Then eventually you'll see neutrality. You'll see that of acceptance, willingness, reasoning, which is the intellect and the mind, love, and then joy, peace, and enlightenment. Now, every single person has a certain base point calibration. And this base point calibration is where someone's emotions and where someone's thoughts calibrate at. And the thing is this information, by the way, comes from the book called Power versus Force. And in that book, it talks a lot about understanding these different levels of consciousness. In the book, there is this process that's used called muscle testing, where the body, it's an understood thing that the body is connected to the subconscious mind. So what happens is we have an ability to test the muscles, to test the body, to see which statements ring as strong or weak, or true or false. And this muscle testing can be used to ask or answer yes or no questions. So there are many people around the world that do this type of muscle testing. There are many people that use it to understand more about their body, how to make decisions even just from an emotional point of view or a lifestyle point of view, and it's very powerful. Now, in general, the book Power versus Force shows how the majority of people on the planet resonate at about 209, I believe. I believe maybe it's raised a little bit, but you got to think as well, there's almost 8 billion people on the planet, and a lot of people may be living in very desperate situations. They may be in different countries, may not have the bare necessities such as food, shelter, water. And many times if you don't have the bare necessities, you'll find that you may be in the lower vibrational emotions. You may be feeling anger, you may be feeling fear because you don't know if you can even survive, and that might keep you in a low vibration. Now, the thing is, everything resonates at a certain calibration. Let me give you some examples right now. If you were to calibrate that of classical music, it resonates at about 425 to 450, which is reasoning, which is why a lot of people like to listen to classical music when they are working, studying, or doing things, because it resonates with the intellect. You might have certain type of music or books that resonate at 500 or above. If you've ever read the book Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda, that book resonates at about I think it resonates at the mid 500s, maybe the low 600s. It's a high vibrational book. Power versus, The Power of Now resonates in the 500s, so it's a high vibrational book. You will also have certain things that resonate at lower vibrations. For example, alcohol resonates at 275 or 250, I believe. No, 275. Which is around courage, which is ironic because they call alcohol liquid courage. So for many people, I'll tell you right now, many people finding this video, your vibration most likely is much higher than alcohol, but when you drink, it actually lowers your vibration, but you get a temporary buzz from it that you enjoy, but then it lowers your vibration in general. When you talk about many different types of music, if you were to look at that of maybe heavy metal rock music, it would resonate much lower than the 450 of classical music. It would most likely resonate at 175. Now, these are all just different calibrations you can use doing the muscle testing process. However, this video is mainly just here to show you in general how to move from being in the lower to the mid to more of the mid and the highs. I'm going to show you for beginners kind of how to go through this process in a very simplistic way, and kind of share some of the process along my own journey, because I definitely, not that I'm enlightened or anything, but I've definitely risen my vibration quite a bit since I've been on this journey in 2012 when I went through my spiritual awakening. Now, first off, the first key to this is understanding and letting it be okay that you feel whatever emotion you feel. Now, that's a good part of this process, because when you let yourself feel the emotions that come up, that many times will release the emotions from being inside of your body. We normally will store energy inside of our bodies, and until we release it, until we allow ourselves to feel it, we won't release it. So we need to allow ourselves to feel it, then we can release it out of our energetic fields and out of our bodies. Now, back in that of 2012, I would say my base point vibration on a scale of 1 to 10 was about a 3 out of 10, meaning I didn't feel that great. 1 feeling not great at all, 10 feeling amazing. Then I went through my spiritual awakening. I learned meditation. I learned how to observe my thoughts. I started to feel completely different about myself, and my vibration went from a 3 to a 10 to about a 7 out of 10. I started to feel high all of the time, and I wasn't drinking, I wasn't doing anything. Before that actually, I would drink with friends, I would smoke, and that was something that I did. But after my spiritual awakening, got rid of all of that, started to feel good a majority of the time, and my base point vibration went from that 3 out of 10 to a 7 out of 10, and I started to feel completely different about myself. And I thought at one point, maybe this vibration, maybe this feeling will go away. I hope it doesn't. It never went away. It became my base point. Now, that doesn't mean I don't ever feel lower vibrational emotions, but it means the gravity of my energy on this scale of 1 to 10 that I'm using as a metaphor is what has helped me understand. This doesn't mean that I'm enlightened. I'm not saying that on the scale of 1 to 10, like I deducted it by, or whatever. I'm saying that was kind of what I've been explaining to people for a long time. And the more consciousness work I've done as well, the more I've realized that this 1 to 10 scale in my mind, there's actually like a 20 out of 10 scale of higher vibrational emotion that we have the potential to feel in our lifetime, that I've tapped into here and there in meditational experiences. However, in general, the key to what I'm sharing with you is from my own experience. It's what I've learned. And here's the first thing that we must do for this process. Now, in the lower vibrational emotions, such as shame, fear, guilt, all the way to anger, actually up until under anger, these emotions, what happens is there's normally a perspective of these things happen to me. These things happen to me. So many times this will also include that of perspectives of people did things to me. Now, for example, that was me a lot of growing up. For those of you that know my story, I'll just give a very simple explanation. I had an abusive stepmom between the ages of 7 to 15 years old, and I didn't have the freedom to have friends. Wasn't allowed to watch TV. My brother and I a lot of times were locked out of the house, and we had to work outside all day. We got school taken away from us sometimes. We lived in one side of the house where we weren't allowed to have food. We were allowed to have a bowl of cereal in the morning and a TV dinner at night. We were both very skinny, and we had the abusive ex-stepmom who was physically, mentally, and emotionally abusive, and we'd get in trouble for everything, even though we wouldn't do anything wrong. Other parent would look at that, you guys didn't do anything wrong, but we'd get in trouble for everything. So having that abuse in my life, it was something that when I was 15 years old, my dad divorced her. All of a sudden, my brother and I are allowed to have friends. We're allowed to eat food that we want to eat. We're allowed to go to school, not get that taken away. We're allowed to watch TV. It was a completely new world. However, I still felt a lot of resentment for why did those things happen? Why? I still felt that fear, that anger towards my ex-stepmom because of all that pain that I went through, and I didn't really understand it. Well, that perspective for years after, even 15 up until about 21, I felt angry. And I was in that because my perspective was these things are happening to me. These things happened to me. So there was a weight of my past that were inside of these lower vibrational emotions. So I was angry. I felt that fear. I felt many different emotions that were in the lower vibrations. And mostly in this level of consciousness, it's that things happened to me. I was a victim of this circumstance. And the thing is while we may be there for a certain period of time, there comes a time for us to transcend that perspective, which sometimes is a little bit harder to understand because some people have been through way worse things than I've been through. I was listening to some stories, a podcast the other day of somebody, and I was listening to his story, and it was incredible how much more traumatic, it was like, wow, there's definitely different levels to it. So it might sound easier said than understood, but here's the thing. When you shift from realizing that these things didn't happen to you, they happened for you, that's when your life begins to change in a powerful way. Now, what I mean by that is it's taking responsibility for what happened. Now, listen to this though. I know it sounds crazy to people that have been through a lot of stuff, but you take responsibility, which is simply the ability to respond, to choose your response, to choose what things mean. In the lower vibrational emotions, things mean very heavy things. This happened to me, it shouldn't happen. Oh, there's this story, there's this victim mentality. And the reason it's hard to say that because then some people are like, it kind of invalidates some people's perspectives. But the reason I say it is because I want to help you get out of that mentality. And the way you do it is by understanding it from a larger perspective. Understand that many times the most negative things that happen can be the most positive things for you. One of the biggest shifts in my own life was I was working at Nordstrom's in women's shoes. I had what is called ADHD, and it was hard for me to focus. I also felt a lot of the pain and anger towards my ex-stepmom, and I was numbing that with drinking and smoking. That was the way that I got through it. But then what I did is I came across that of learning about meditation because I was looking for another alternative to Adderall, the prescription drug they give to people that have ADHD, and I came across that of meditation, how there's no negative side effects, because there were negative side effects of Adderall. You couldn't eat very much, you couldn't sleep very much. So what I did is I learned meditation, and when I learned meditation, I learned how to observe my thoughts, I learned how to observe my past, I learned how to observe the labels that I had, and it changed everything about me. I then saw that I could reframe the meaning, and I saw that as I was going through that, what is called the spiritual awakening, what happened was I changed the meaning of my past because I realized that a lot of that pain from my past led me to my spiritual awakening. If it didn't happen, I may not be where I'm at today. Even I really believe that. Where I'm at right now, sharing these ideas on YouTube and talking about this, I don't know if I would be talking about this if it weren't for what I went through in my past. So in a way, I'm grateful to it. I changed my relationship to the past. So when we change our meaning, the meaning we give to past situations and to past circumstance, that's when then we transform it. You transmute it out of the lower vibrational emotions into that of the mid ones, which is the willpower. You see, then what happens is you move out of the slower running emotions, vibrational emotions, and what you do is you then begin to transmute it. And then you begin to use it. Many successful people have been through very harsh pasts. So it's something, and they're one of the reasons that things that fuels them is then they get into willingness. Then they get into the acceptance and the willingness and the willpower, and they move towards, and then they start moving towards success and discipline. So many people can use that as fuel. Now, one of the main ways that you go from moving from the lower levels to the mid levels is forgiveness. Forgiveness. I had to forgive my ex-stepmom. I had to forgive myself. I had to forgive, many people in my life for the things that happened. And when I forgave, that's when I really became free. And understand that here's one of the easiest ways to forgive, or one of the things that makes it so much easier. Everyone is doing the best they can from their level of consciousness. Everyone is doing the best they can from their level of consciousness. So for example, my ex-stepmom, who has narcissistic and sociopathic traits, she is and was treated a certain way growing up. And she was treated a certain way, she may be acting out, and she thinks the only way that she can get power is by taking power from other people. Therefore, what she does is she takes power from other people, and that's her way of acting out that. She's doing the best that she can from where she is. She was also abused when she was a kid. So because of that, I can see that in a way it helps me have a little more compassion for her. When she was doing that and treating my brother and I a certain way, it's because that's how she was treated. So that helped me to understand it from a different level and to really forgive. When you forgive, you then allow yourself to move into the mid levels. You begin to move up and you begin to transmute that energy. And if you haven't seen yet, I'm going to link it below. There's a process called Ho'oponopono, one of the most powerful healing modalities that I've ever found. It's an ancient Hawaiian technique, and it has to do with 4 simple statements that begin to clear your energetic field. And it is, I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you. These 4 statements said over and over again, as you also hold certain people in your mind as you do it, you heal your relationship with yourself, you heal the energy out of your energetic field, and you also help facilitate healing in the other person by not seeing them as damaged. It's a very powerful process. I went to this Tony Robbins event recently, and it was one of the focal healing points of the whole entire seminar was Ho'oponopono, and it's something I really believe in. So there's a meditation below. It's one of the most powerful ones that I've made about Ho'oponopono. There's other ones out there as well, but this is one you can listen to in the background while you're doing other things. It will help you heal out of those lower vibrational emotions and to clear that as well. Now, as you move up, then what you'll see is in the mid-levels we have willpower. We have that of courage, reasoning, the intellect of the mind, understanding that your beliefs create your reality. That's when you start to understand the intellect more. And here's the thing, the way that our feelings come from our beliefs. What do you believe to be true? What is the meaning you give to things? When we give heavy meaning to things, we then feel like we're in the lower vibrations. When we when we focus more on understanding that we can give the meanings we choose to things, that's when things really begin to change. So another thing that I'll recommend as well is understanding, this is also in the mid-levels, is when you become aware that you create your own reality, that your thoughts influence your reality, that what you believe about yourself is something that's reflected back to you in life, and that when you link up how you think, how you feel, and how you action as well, your life begins to change in a very powerful way. So the mid-levels are a lot about success and a lot about understanding that willpower. And one of the things I recommend is first clearing the emotional burden of the past, doing a process like Ho'oponopono, taking responsibility, which means the ability to respond and to choose the meaning you give things, have that forgiveness, and then focus on what you're going to do with this. Start looking for your passion. So when I reframed the meanings of my past, that's when I started to have all this energy that I could do more things with. Then I started to funnel it in a new direction, which was doing what I'm passionate about, which will take you into the mid-levels. So what are you passionate about? I like making videos. I like helping people understand these ideas. At first though, I was just passionate about reading these ideas in books and watching seminars and listening to audios, and that's what I did for years, and that was what my passion was. That led to me eventually making videos and doing what I do now. So in the mid-levels, I would say it's following what you're passionate about. It is going for your dream, your vision, building and doing the personal growth on yourself, becoming the best you can be. So the key though in this video is mainly at moving from the lower vibrational emotions, which low vibe, it gets us caught into this ego game. Like, I don't want to be low vibe, and it's more so just knowing that emotions do serve a purpose. Now, I believe that we have the capacity in this lifetime to make big jumps in levels of consciousness because there's a transformation that I believe is happening on the planet. And the key though is learning to forgive. The key is changing the meaning and you really taking responsibility for your life and understanding that your beliefs create your reality, that whatever you believe to be true is reflected back to you. If you believe you can, you believe you can't, you're right depending on your perspective. But the key to this is responsibility and then going forward and being aware of the thoughts that come up, being aware of the meanings you give things, and as you do that, it begins to change in a very powerful way. So this is the key. It's forgiveness. It's changing the meaning. It is taking responsibility, not seeing yourself as a victim. These things happened for you, not to you. And then deciding, what am I going to do with this? Put this in a direction of you figuring out your purpose. Put this in the direction of you studying things you want to study. You going forward with that direction, with that energy, and it'll begin to change your life in a very powerful way, like it did mine, and like it did many other people's as well. Like I said, that meditation is below, Ho'oponopono. Listen to it for 21 days. Watch how your life begins to change. Other than that, as always, I'll see you on the next video. Peace, much love, and namaste.